I'm I'm not sure the biblical precedent for stadium Christianity.
There is none. There's a biblical precedent for solemn assemblies. So most
Right.
of the time, it's either small groups or like small communities coming together. And then when something goes crazy, the Lord's like, gather together the people, gather together the people. Or for the 3 holy days. You gather
Yeah.
together the people for war, pretty much is what's happening. I was like, oh, there's something going on. We need to get into the place of prayer. We need to do something. We need to call, or the church is getting crazy. You need to come together. Then we assemble. We don't assemble to worship. We don't assemble for like sermons. We don't assemble to party. We assemble for war, essentially.
Yeah. And I don't think that the people of God have been trained and equipped to be able to gather at solemn assemblies and
No,
go
no,
to
no, no,
war.
no.
I'm not coming for the solemn assemblies in any way, shape, or form. I just think that it's created a shallow form of Christianity where I go to the mountaintop and I get hyped with everybody, but I don't have the
Yeah.
ability to walk it out in my personal
Mm.
day to day life. And I lack the character to be able to withstand the attacks of the enemy. Like if you don't have your house clean and you've got windows open and doors half cracked and this, that, and the other thing because of sin, then I go to that mountaintop, tear down altars of Baal and da 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 da. And I come back home and the enemy's like plundering my house and I'm like, what
Yeah.
happened? And and then I'm all like, it creates weird theologies about warfare and backlash and everything else. But if my house is fortified and there's not an opening for the enemy to get in, then I'm not going to get attacked
And it's
in
just
the
like,
same
it's like
way.
a drug, honestly. It's like you come to these assemblies, you get hype, and then you go back, you're like hype for like a month, maybe a week, and then you're back to whatever. And it's just not good for your spiritual walk because it's weird ebbs and flows. It's the same thing when you go to like, you have these huge ministry trips with this huge group of people. You gather all the people together,
Mm-hmm.
the churches all to come together, and you like have this big bang, and then you leave, and then the church has nobody to follow up with what you're doing, especially if they're not prepped for it. And that happens a lot more with like when you do like ministry trips out of the country where you're just going somewhere, and the leaders there are nice, but they're not prepped and prepared to pastor all the
Mm-hmm.
people that you might have ministered to. And you might minister to somebody on the road, and then they're left with nothing after that. So it's definitely a
Yeah.
big issue with especially the big assemblies, the gathering together, the big groups. It's very cool. It's very like hype and everything. Like, oh, we got a stadium. It's all like good on paper, but it doesn't actually prepare people for what might to become. And they might hear a cool sermon through it, but it doesn't mean they're going to be changed by it.
Yeah. There has to be local partnership with local ministry to be able
Yeah.
to walk out discipleship and I think going to a conference and stuff like that is fine, especially if you're like, I need a fresh touch. I need some
But that's,
ministry, especially for people
yeah,
who
for ministers, I get
minister.
that. But that's more of an indictment on your local church than anything. It's
Yeah.
saying, you're essentially saying, I get nothing around me. Or it could be indictment that you're not actually looking for a spirit filled
Yeah.
church to get spirit filled.
Well, I was more talking about the line of like, I'm the pastor of the church or I'm one of the ministers on the platform. And so I'm not getting ministry. I get filled by the Lord like on a personal level, but I'm not getting any pastoring or mentoring because I am the pastor. And so you go to a conference because it's like going to the spa. You need a little like time where you're not the one pouring out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but
You're being
that's
poured
why you
into.
need the
And I think,
fivefold essentially, where you have
yeah,
somebody like like Timothy had Paul. Like there's somebody that they can go to. Paul even had like other apostles. Like he could go to Barnabas. He had people that he could go to get like that partnership with. That's why they always win in groups of two. It's essential to not give yourself over to be drained like that.
yeah. I think it happens to
Exactly, because
pastors a
a lot,
lot, though.
especially in America, like the pastor is the end all and be all of that church, and so they're just taking the brunt of, oh, this person's coming and they're speaking false doctrine. Oh, this person needs help. Oh, this marriage is crumbling. Go to the pastor. Go to the pastor. Go to the pastor. Go to the pastor. And for the most part, they can handle it, but it does. You cannot get on be difficult at some point. It's difficult being like a manager when people are dealing with random
Yeah.
people's emotions and all the different pieces. How much more a pastor has to deal with like, I'm going to get a divorce with my wife. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I need you to pray for me or whatever. Because they
Mhm.
know all the drama of the church at that point.
Yep.
And so like
Yep.
like ministries where you can like these like churches, these leaders can come together. I don't feel like that would be like a big conference. I feel like that would be a small, intimate thing where they can actually get ministered to. I feel like it'd be more beneficial.
Probably. But in our current culture,
Yeah, we
we
do
do
like it
big
big.
stuff.
It looks way better on paper,
Yep.
but
Supersized America.
yeah.